copies of them?
Good morning. This is a hearing of the Village of Island Lake Municipal Officers Electoral Board set for August 17th, 2012 at 11 a.m. The time now is 11:05 a.m. and we are meeting in the boardroom in the Island Lake Village Hall, the Village Board's usual meeting place. I will call the roll of the members so that the record will reflect their presence. Member Morris?
Here.
Member Massolino? Here. Chairman Herman is present. A majority of the electoral board is present. I am Village President Herman, the chairman of the electoral board, which also consists of Thea Morris, the longest-serving village trustee without a conflict of interest in this matter, and Connie Massolino, the village clerk. This board has been called into session pursuant to my call after a set of objections were filed regarding the validity of petitions for an advisory referendum for the November 6, 2012 election. Let the record also reflect that we have with us this afternoon a court reporter and Carrie Lynn Kessler, one of the village attorneys, who will be assisting us. Let the record further reflect that notice of this meeting was posted on Wednesday, August 15, 2012, pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, and that the notice contained an agenda. There is one case on the board's docket. The first order of business is the adoption of rules for the electoral board. These rules have been prepared by our attorneys, and we understand that they have been used by other electoral boards throughout the state, including the State Board of Elections and others. Is there a motion to adopt these rules?
So moved.
Second. Okay. Member Morris?
Yeah, aye.
Member Massolino?
Aye.
Chairman Herman? Aye. The case is Field versus Beeson, case number 12-01. Is there anyone present on behalf of the objector?
Yes.
Is there anyone present on behalf of the candidate?
Yes. Many.
I ask, who will be speaking for the candidate? You, Mark, or you're the petitioner, the candidate.
I thought I would speak for myself, we'll say.
Okay. I ask that both of you get an appearance form from the attorney and return them to the board at this time.
May I speak? Sorry.
Not yet. What we need you to do is just show that you're representing yourself in this matter, so that's what this form is for.
Sure.
While they're filling out the forms, you can continue.
Clerk Massolino will maintain the official record of the board's proceedings and any pleadings, motions, and similar documents may be served on the clerk's office during regular hours and during the board's hearings. Copies of any document should be faxed or emailed to the village attorneys in care of Carrie Lynn Catheter at the Anson Blink Law Firm as indicated in the rules. Today we have Attorney Catheter from the firm here helping us. Attorney Catheter, would you please enter the rules into the board's record as board's exhibit number 1? We ask that the parties note that the electoral board has arranged to have these proceedings recorded by the court reporter. The board will continue to practice during the board's hearing hours, but not during any record check that may be conducted. The board does not plan to have a transcript prepared unless the board needs a transcript for a particular purpose. Should a party be dissatisfied with the board's decision, a complete record will be furnished to the circuit court at the board's expense, but subject to such limitations as may be provided in an administrative review act. The court reporter's transcript will be in the minutes of the electoral board's meetings if they are needed. I will now enter into the record the following documents. Meeting as Exhibit 2. The calls of the meeting as Exhibit 2. Returns of service of calls entered as Exhibit 3.
Okay, we haven't received those yet, so we will mark those when we receive them.
And then, I just named these.
Yes.
Okay, Member Herman, Member Morris, Member Massolino, Mr. Field, Objector, Mr. Beeson, Petitioner. Receipt of service from Island Lake Police Department as Exhibit 4. Open Meetings Act notice as Exhibit 5. Are there any questions regarding these documents? If not, they will be entered into the record as board exhibits. Any returns of service that we receive later will be added into the record by our attorney. Without reading them in full, we will also enter into the record the original petitions filed by Mr. Beeson as Exhibit 6 and the original objection of Mr. Field as Exhibit 7. At this time, we will turn this over to our attorney to handle preliminary matters.
Have the parties completed the appearance forms?
Yes.
If you could bring those up then, that would be great. Thank you. All right, we've received an appearance of Mark Beeson on behalf of himself, who's the petitioner. That, and then also one for Mr. Dan Field, who also will be representing himself. Okay, the way that this matter is going to happen, this hearing will be conducted, is that the objection raises a lot of challenges to specific line items of the signatures that are on the petition. So what we need to do is, because Island Lake is in part in Lake County and in part in McHenry County, and because there are challenges to signatures in both jurisdictions, we have to be in contact with the Lake County clerk and the McHenry County clerk to establish what their records say about the signatures of these voters and the voter registration documents. So what we need to do is contact them for a records check. The way that it works in Lake County is that Willard Helander's office, when she receives the objection, will have her staff go through all the signatures that are in Lake County and decide which ones are good and which ones are bad, and bring, and the objector has to then bring those materials and copies of those materials to the board, so the board can evaluate whether to uphold those, or if the other parties have evidence they want to submit disputing those findings. And in McHenry County, what happens is that the clerk's office will allow the parties to both be present when a records check is conducted, as they go through the signatures that are located within McHenry County. And so we have to schedule that with the McHenry County Clerk's office, and the objector has to get the materials to the Lake County Clerk's office. And then what will happen is the parties will come back and there will be a hearing on that matter. So we will then have the information from both the Lake County Clerk and the McHenry County Clerk, and then the parties can give the board whatever kind of information or evidence that they believe will support their positions on this case. Does anyone have questions about the procedures? Yes, sir.
A question. This electoral board could actually decide on this today and totally forego all those checks, could they not?
Not without the, no, we would need the, this board has no materials from and before it with respect to the validity of signatures.
No, but they're deciding whether or not this challenge would go forward. So it could very well be decided today unless they wish to allow all these record checks, correct?
Well, the board has to conduct an evidentiary hearing unless somebody is filing, for example, a motion to dismiss today. Does anyone have any preliminary matters to be filed?
Maybe not a motion to dismiss, but sentiment in that regard, yeah.
But the board can't just, the board has to actually act on evidence presented before it. They can't decide, just like a judge in a case couldn't just have someone come and say, you should just get rid of this case because.
So today, nothing will be really resolved because we're still subject to records check in both counties.
Right, under the election code, what the board is supposed to do today is meet to adopt preliminary rules about how the hearing will be conducted.
Okay, thank you.
So, yes, sir.
Yes, Mayor Herman stated that Thea Mora has no interest of conflict in this case. How was that determined?
I believe that what happens under the election code when an electoral board is established is that the parties have to decide, first of all, like when it's a candidate petition, are they a candidate? And second of all, has someone signed the petition or circulated it? And I believe that when we went down the seniority roster, there were people that had signed the petition who could have been eligible to be on the electoral board, so they were disqualified
Are you
because of
talking
it.
about trustees?
Yes. Yes.
Trustees signed the petition. You're saying Thea Mora did not, so therefore she's qualified to sit on the panel board here.
That there wasn't a disqualification, yes.
Right.
Yes. So that being the case, then what the board would need to do now is select a hearing date. Now, I want to make you familiar with some deadlines that are coming up under the election code. We need to resolve this fairly quickly because the clerk's office has to certify the question to the election authorities by August 29th. Normally, if there's an objection pending, it doesn't have to be completely finished by that date, and the question would then be certified with a note that there's an objection pending so the election authority knows. However, they are running up against the deadline for configuring and proofing the ballots so that they can get out the military ballots. So we really should do the best that we can to have the hearing concluded prior to August 29th. So I would say that if we can maybe continue this about a week so that we can make the appropriate arrangements with the Lake County Clerk and the McHenry County Clerk and set this for a hearing maybe early next week, which would then be the final day for everything to be resolved. That would be my recommendation. That Monday the 27th would be a possibility if that works for the board and for the parties.
Does that work for the parties? I don't have a problem, but isn't that cutting it tight? 27th is only a couple days before this needs to be turned in. Make it the referendum.
Well, we have to certify it on the 29th, which we could do by fax on the 29th. So if we do it the 27th, if for some reason the hearing continues over to the 28th, because there's a lot of evidence, generally, it seems to me like what the evidence would be the certified records from the Lake and McHenry County Clerk's office, and then any evidence that the parties bring forward, which could include testimony or other documentary evidence. Do either of the parties involved think that their portion of the case would take longer than an hour?
No.
Okay, so if we do it the 27th, even if for some reason we double that and it runs 4 hours, I mean, we're still within the timeline for certification.
Just my concern is that there isn't another reason to continue, What happens if we burn that deadline of the 29th?
Like what kind of reason to continue?
Well, I don't know, I'm not familiar with these type of proceedings, and we're pushing this off more than a week when I was given 2.5 days just to prepare for today. Now why aren't we trying to do this, say, next Tuesday, next Wednesday? Why aren't we being
Well,
more
because we
proactive?
don't know, first of all, we could call up, first of all, Willard Helander, the Lake County clerk, is in Boston at a conference right now, so I don't know when she's returning, when her staff would be able to do this, but let's say they say next Wednesday, and we set the hearing for next Monday. I mean, I think we need to anticipate that we need to schedule some time during the next week for this to occur. We would still be within the deadline. Do you anticipate you're going to need continuances after that date?
No, I'm here to just speak the truth and move forward.
Okay. How about you, sir? Do you think that you would need additional continuances? No. Okay, and in fact, under the election code and the board's rules, we wouldn't grant a continuance unless there were some extreme need to do that. Like, let's say what happens by Monday is that the McHenry County Clerk's Office wasn't able to work us into their schedule. I don't think that will happen, but if it's something like that, we might need to continue it for a day. But both of the parties have now represented on the record that the 27th, we should be able to proceed and conclude this, and it's been my experience that that probably will be sufficient if there's not anything else that comes up. So if the board would like to set that date, then...
Wait a second, on the 27th, what you want to do is you want to schedule meetings at the Lake County Clerk's Office?
No. The 27th would be after all of that has happened. We have to now contact Lake and McHenry County.
All right.
Yeah, the objector has to contact Lake County, and then he would bring back certified copies of those materials on the 27th. Both parties can participate in the process in McHenry County. That will be sometime during this week, and once we hear from McHenry County, we'll have to let the parties
So
know.
what you're saying is he has to provide proof for his claims?
It's the objector's burden of proof, yes.
Right, all right, because right now he doesn't have any.
Right.
Okay.
Right, I mean, both of, that wasn't, well, today we needed to adopt preliminary rules.
Right, but right now the claimant doesn't have any proof, objector, and we are going to go through a process to allow him to gain this proof for us to...
Well, actually, I don't know whether he has proof or not. Today's not the day for him to bring that forward. So if he has proof, and if the objector and the proponents both have proof, today is not the day to bring that forward. The process that the board is going to follow is that the proof that they want is from the election authorities.
Right, but he can't be asked today whether he has that proof.
There wouldn't be a purpose for that, though, because that's not, I mean, that wasn't in accordance with what the board's rules are requiring.
What was the purpose of the line item list of people checked off? Why is that part of the packet I received? That I then brought some people here to show that they indeed signed signatures that I was told wasn't genuine.
The board hasn't even issued subpoenas. No one has even requested subpoenas at this point. So, I mean, that's, today, what normally happens on the first day of an electoral board hearing, and this is consistent, this isn't like made-up rules for the Village of Island Lake. This is consistent with the State Board of Elections, the county boards of elections, different things like that. First thing they do is establish rules, and they schedule what's going to happen. That's all we're doing. It's a scheduling meeting.
Well, we're trying to ask questions here because we're not legal eagles here,
Yeah.
all right? But we are citizens of this town,
Right,
and we
right.
want answers.
Well, and you know what? We're happy to give you answers, and you're right to be asking questions. Yes, sir.
I just,
What is the date that can he drag this thing out and then this referendum doesn't go through? Or is he required to do it? If he just walks out of here and we don't hear from him again, is this referendum gonna go through?
If
What
the
if he just
objector
does
has,
nothing?
sir, we're committed to getting this resolved in a timely fashion. Right now, the board is indicating that everything will be handled on the 27th. The parties are both saying that there's not going to be need for continuance. If someone doesn't show up, no. This isn't like normal litigation where it dilly-dallies for 4 years. No. If one side or the other doesn't show up, the board can rule against them on that day, and that, whatever will happen.
What do you mean can? What if he goes, I'm out of town and I'm not gonna be back to expedite this thing, but I still want to object to it?
Then the board can rule against that person at that time.
Well, just given that set of circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, if
what do
something
you
happens
think?
and someone's-
What do you think, Mayor? Are you obliged to answer or no?
This isn't, sir, I mean, while the board is obviously committed to transparency, it's not, the process here is that they are serving as a judicial panel. Just like in a lawsuit, you don't show up and start questioning the judge. You know,
Right.
I am here to adhere to make sure that they follow the laws, that both parties have a fair chance to address what it is. We're allowing people, and we'll add, look, if other people have questions about the process, we're happy to answer the questions. We can't provide legal advice.
I understand.
But we can answer those questions. And, you know, it really, can I say what they're going to do on that day? No. Because what if one of the parties comes forth and one of their parents dies and the funeral's for that morning? I mean, there are, you know, there's extreme circumstances. I think that if it's just a dilly-dally tactic, though, that won't be adhered to.
All right, given that circumstance, is that enough to have this thing drag on and not be put on the referendum? Just for the, with no evidence being submitted to that point? A loved one dies and it gets postponed on, and now they can't change the ballot? So are we stuck with it not going on the ballot? Or will it, if there's no evidence at that deadline, will it be put on the ballot? I mean, is that a question you can answer, or?
Well, I mean, we can ask all sorts of what-if questions, and, I mean, I believe the board is committed to getting this resolved in the time done by law. I will tell you, though, that I've been involved in election challenges where election boards have ruled people on or off the ballot. The circuit court has overturned them, the appellate court has overturned them, and that's all happened, like, within 2 days before the election and the ballot gets changed. I mean, so, lots of weird things happen with election law, but I think that the board just wants to perform its functions. Yes?
Hi, my name is Kim Hildebrand, and I did sign the petition, and I want to know why my signature and my husband's are being questioned. I've lived here, worked here for 20 years, and voted here, signed my receipt before I go in and vote, and nobody has ever questioned my signature until now. And I want to know why.
Well, I mean, that's a question that you can ask the objector in a form other than this. I mean, a lot of times people's signatures are challenged because maybe they printed it instead of signing it and it doesn't match the
I've
voter
signed my name the
registration
same way
document.
since I was 10 years old, probably.
Sometimes I mean, there's all different reasons why people,
Well, I think it's rude.
you're entitled to your opinion.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir? Yes.
I guess, to follow up on what the man just said, is that we were under the impression that we needed to counter the claims made against us today. So I've had very little time to make any contact with some of the residents who all signed before me with their own hands and their own signatures. I was able to, between heavy work hours right now, it's really bad timing for me, to get a few of them to come to testify to the fact that they did indeed sign. I've got another resident here who did move to another house in town. She's lived here for 26 years, and she is indeed registered to her new address that she and her husband were checked off. I have another young gentleman here who came because him and his father have the same name, so perhaps he saw a different John signature. Another resident is here because 4 or 6 of his neighbors on the cul-de-sac were crossed off because they were, again, claimed to be forgeries. He was with me as we went door to door. We're here to supposedly have a hearing, action, and decision. When will these people be able to present the fact that there's some credibility issues here?
They will be able to present you'll be able to present all of your evidence, as will the other party, at the hearing, which we're
So-
still in the middle of trying to establish when that will be, actually.
I have to get all these people again, is what you're saying.
Well, and you said you only had 2.5 days, this gives you another week to get whoever else you think you need to have here
I
also.
understand that, and I really wish this was, sooner than later like you're doing. The week off, if that's what it is, then fine. I wish we could try to schedule it sooner so that we have time to prepare for possible scenarios that people are bringing up here.
The only challenge would be if we schedule it for next Tuesday, and then 2 days is a very short amount of time to actually get the information back from the clerk's office and to schedule that, and then we might just have everyone here and have to continue it again. So I think that's what we're trying to avoid.
Well, I'm not saying
Yes, sir.
Tuesday.
I have 2 questions. One, when these signatures go before the county clerks, both McHenry and Lake County, will they have handwriting experts involved, or will they just be verifying these signatures themselves?
They verify the registration status, and they compare the voter registration documents to the signatures. They don't have handwriting experts. If parties want to hire handwriting experts to support or defend their challenge, they have the ability to do that. One other thing, we have a lot of people speaking, we have a court reporter here. If you have spoken during this proceeding, other people that speak, please identify your name ahead of time, but if you've spoken already, we need to get your name to the court reporter after this.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm Sally Fleissner. I live at 128 Southern Terrace in Island Lake.
Can you please spell your last name?
F as in Frank, L-E-I, 2 S's as in Sam, N as in Nancy, E-R. And my other question is, and I just want to understand this just a little bit more. We need approximately 8% of the registered voters from the last gubernatorial election, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's estimated, and I'm overestimating it here, at approximately 250 signatures. Okay, I'm guessing. The number varies anywhere from 234 to 245, and no one's really precisely sure what the precise number is. So we'll just grab a number. Let's say after the verification comes through from both counties, and we still have over the number of signatures needed. What happens next?
If you have the numbers needed, then what would happen is the board would likely vote to overrule the objection, and the question will go on the ballot.
Very good, thank you.
You said would like to.
Yeah.
Are they allowed to, you're saying they can decide to not?
Well, they will go through all of the allegations in the objection and find for or against the parties on each one. If the only challenge is the valid number of signatures, then, and the signatures are in excess, yes. And if the signatures are below, they would likely grant the objection.
Well,
I'm not going to, I'm not the person making the decision here, and I don't know what the evidence is going to be,
I
but,
wasn't going there.
okay.
Okay, I guess what I'm concerned about is this isn't just a number count. 30-something lines of accusations have been made against these petitioners. We aren't being accused of having people accidentally be non-registered voters and they signed it saying they were, or people didn't change their address, so therefore they're not registered to that address. We're being accused of multiple cases of fraud.
Right, and the party will have the ability to put on evidence, and you'll have the ability to put on evidence also, and the board will rule on all of the allegations. I mean, there is a trend right now in election law, and the Cook County State's Attorney is prosecuting people for saying that the people signed in front of them and were registered voters, and there's not, and there are cases where people are being prosecuted for falsely attesting to circulators' affidavits. They're serious allegations.
The
So-
Cook County?
Yeah, involving a petition for a referendum that was circulated in the village of Oak Lawn. And, I mean, this isn't the first time. It's been in DuPage County. Someone actually forged signatures of sitting judges and members of the state's attorney's office. So, I mean, election laws are being treated very seriously.
Even when the signers themselves are attesting by signing that they're legitimately registered voters.
Not in those circumstances, no. But that wouldn't support
Well,
a
but
fraud
that's
allegation.
the circumstance of most petitions.
We don't know yet because we haven't even gotten to that stage of the hearing.
Okay.
Yes.
I just have a comment that my name is Maria Patak, 3203 Carriage Hill Road. All right, so if the people are being accused of fraud, okay, then I would think that the objector should be accused of accusing the people for fraud,
Right.
and that he should be brought up on charges.
Supposed to.
All right, we're
Yep.
getting way ahead of
Well,
ourselves here because we're
That's why I
still,
said I have a comment, all right? Because that guy, he should be charged for accusing all of these people in here for lying.
I feel the same way. I
So-
agree.
we have
That's
to,
my comment.
I'm
That's
not a
all I have
liar.
to say.
all right. I think now what we need to do is actually have the board make a motion to take the hearing date and time.
I make a motion that the next meeting of the electoral board be Monday, August 27th at 11 a.m.
Second?
Motion by member Maslino, properly seconded by member Moore, to continue this hearing on Monday, August 27th at 11 a.m. All in favor?
Aye.
Here.
Okay,
What about those of us who work and would still like to be here, be present? Because I'm one of the objectors' lines that was crossed off, and I can't be here that day.
Can it be in the evening?
Yes.
Why does it have to be in the middle
My
of the day?
husband too, he's another one. He won't be able to be here, and he was accused of lying also.
well, I mean, generally,
No, we
court
want to be
cases
here.
usually take place during the day. If the witnesses are unavailable, you can subpoena them to compel their compliance. We have the ability to do so.
We don't want to go through all that. Make it at a time when everybody's available.
You can, I mean,
please.
the parties can evaluate what they want to bring forth as evidence or not, just like in a court case. If you can't make it on the court date, I mean.
Does the law say that they have to be done during 8 hours, during work
No.
hours?
No, it doesn't.
No.
Then why is this being scheduled for 11 o'clock?
The whole reason we're here is because information that could have been disseminated to everybody has all taken place on weekdays during a workday.
When
That's why we're
don't
even
know
here in the
about it.
first place.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to have
Prior
it changed.
electoral board hearings that have been held here in Island Lake have been held in the evening.
Yes.
Correct.
So I'm not sure why this one should be any different than the other ones.
I want the board to
Okay, I
consider.
was mayor in town here for 20
Your
years,
name?
Charles Amrick, 112 East State Road. And we had 2 of these such hearings, and they were held at night, so we could accommodate anybody that needed to come or wanted to come to be a witness. So they were held at night.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'd like to request that it is at night. You didn't say the time, you just said the day, and then you
Right.
went forward.
Right.
I don't want to come during the day, and I don't
You
think
give us
anybody
the
else
We
does.
are all working people
We should
who
be-
have jobs.
Children.
Yes.
It's, I mean, it's up to the board if you want to accept.
We're on the hook for paying for the new village hall.
Since the board meetings are held in the evening, I'm not really sure why this board would object.
Well, because they don't want to have,
What do you mean you're not available?
All of a sudden, you're not
We are.
available. This is
Is
the
there a
kind of
different
report.
date or time?
Pick another day when you are available. You want this in the evening.
Okay, right then, is there any other matter to come before the board? If not, it would be appropriate for a motion to adjourn.
This is something.
oh,
What?
come on.
You gotta be kidding.
Come on.
Member seconded to adjourn,
You
all
never
in
asked us
favor?
the time. You never
You did
specified.
not specify.
You did not specify.
You didn't tell us.
It was specified at 11 o'clock.
No, it wasn't, not till you.
This hearing is adjourned.
How can you adjourn?
This is your Waterloo, Mayor Herman. It's over for you, sweetie.
Thank you, ladies.
Probably.
Thank you, ladies.